video.
Good evening and welcome everybody. We know there are a lot of questions regarding Tracenet pending here. Please write them in chat box. We'll get them to the concerned division and try to resolve your issues. But as already informed, now we are going to start our sensitization program on the revised NPOP standards. So we request you to all the operators here who are present to listen carefully all the major changes that are brought in the new NPOP 2024 and the effect and the major changes affecting farmers and the grower group certification. All these changes have been highlighted and in our presentation that we are going to present just now. So we'll start with the presentation and we'll share it, and after the presentation we'll take any further questions or any queries or clarifications that operators or certification bodies need on it. So thank you once again for joining, and please be patient and listen to this presentation attentively so that you are able to raise constructive question, and then after the presentation we are able to engage in constructive discussions regarding the NPOP 2024. So now we'll share the presentation on the revised NPOP, and after that we'll take the question answer session. Go share.
So before talking about the NPOP, I'd like to discuss about what is organic certification. So we all know that organic farming is a method of farming which excludes the use of pesticides and chemicals. India is a traditionally organic country. We have been using the traditional ways of agriculture in our day-to-day farming practices. But when we have to trade organic products, we have to export organic products, there is a requirement of quality assurance. The other person, the buyer, you would need assurance that this product is actually organic. And for that, the organic certification is required. So organic certification is a process wherein your entire process of farming, production, processing, trading, everything is certified by a third party, which gives assurance to the end buyer, the consumer. Therefore, it is also an effective way of marketing tool, because you will have a logo, a label which states that it is an organic product. In India, the system of organic certification for the exports, To cater to the regulatory requirement of the major importing countries such as the USA, the European Union, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India implemented the National Program for Organic Production NPOP in the year 2001. NPOP is notified under the FTDR Act for exports. So it is a regulatory requirement, and any product which is exported from the country, it has to be certified by an accredited certification body under NPOP. The 8th edition of NPOP was notified by DGFT on 5th of January 2025 and formally launched on 9 January 2025. It has a transition period of 180 days, after which it will be enforced. So before that, prior to that, it is the 7th edition of NPOP, which was in place since 2014. In the domestic market, NPOP is notified under the FSSAI regulation, Organic Food Regulations 2017, as one of the options. The other being the participatory guarantee system implemented by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. For imports, it is the NPOP which is applicable. Just like for exports, any product which is imported in India, it has to be certified as per NPOP, or it should be covered under a mutual recognition agreement of an importing country. Discussing a little more in details about what all is covered under NPOP, the National Program for Organic Production. So NPOP regulation, it covers the standards for organic production system. The production system will include crop production or other scopes like livestock, aquaculture, so all the production system, which means that the producers, the operators who are involved in organic processes, they will have to comply with these standards. Then the accreditation of certification bodies. So not all certification bodies can certify under NPOP. They have to prove their competence for certification. So this competence is the process of accrediting them, which is once they are, they apply for accreditation, then they are assessed, they are evaluated, and once they can establish their competence, they are accredited by the national accreditation body, and then only they can certify. Then we have an inspection and certification process. Again, how the certification body will go and inspect the operators is also prescribed under NPOP. Who is an operator? An operator who is doing production is a producer, or a processing activity, so it's a processor, or a trading activity is a trader. A processor and trader, both of them can do exports. Now once a certification body is accredited, then they conduct the inspections for certifying an operator. So the inspection and certification procedures are also prescribed under NPOP. Since NPOP is a process certification, so each and every processes are certified. So therefore the operators are those who are conducting the different activities. That is, if somebody is doing production, then he is a producer. Then processing, it is the operator is the processor, and if somebody is doing trading, then the operator is the trader. So it's not about a company. So if I have one company, but I have a farm, I'm doing production, I'm doing processing, I'm trading, then I'll be certified for 3 different activities. So I'll be a producer, I will have a producer scope, I'm a processor, I will have a processing scope, I'm a trader, I'll have a trading scope. So the inspection and certification will be carried out for each scope. So the certification body, as per the laid down procedures, inspects the facility. If it's a production activity, then we will inspect the farms, conduct the inspection of the farms, and as per the laid down procedure, then they will do inspections, farm visit, on-site visits. Then after that, if everything, the operator has followed the standards, then everything is in compliance, then they go ahead with the certification of that operator. But if there are some non-compliances are observed, then they will communicate that non-compliance to the operator, they will take the required corrective actions, and after everything is settled down, their corrective measures have been taken, then only they will proceed for issuance of the scope certificate. So what is a scope certificate? Scope certificate is a certificate which is given annually which determines that a particular operation is certified for organic. So somebody is doing production, so it will be a production scope. If somebody is doing a processing, then it will be the processing scope. If somebody is doing trading, it's a trading scope. So this is how the inspection and certification process takes place under NPOP. Now, there is another component, very important and vital component under NPOP. It is the grower group certification. Now, what is a grower group certification? Just to tell you that in a third-party certification system, NPOP is a third-party certification system, and in a third-party certification system, each and every operator is first inspected and then certified. Now, but in order to bring in the small and marginal farmers within the ambit of organic certification, this grower group certification was introduced by Government of India in 2005. And the reason is that certifications are also associated with some cost, because the certification body comes to your facility or your farm and they inspect, and then they do the inspections, and then they give certificate. So if there is a group of farmers, they can come together and then they can get certified. So it's a joint certification. Therefore the cost it does not come on each and every farmer, but the entire group. And that is the reason that this grower group certification was introduced, which is also a very important component of NPOP. And finally, the national organic logo, it is our India organic logo. That is our symbol, the organic certification mark for the organic products that are certified under NPOP and exported also globally. Now, NPOP, since it has been launched in 2001, we have got recognition across the globe. We are exporting to more than 50 countries, and we have some very important and prominent recognition agreements. First of all, NPOP has an equivalency with European Union regulations for unprocessed plant products, and the same recognition with Switzerland also, and this is also accepted by Great Britain. So because of this recognition, any unprocessed product which is certified under NPOP, it need not be recertified under European Union regulation or a GB regulation, and it can be directly exported. Recently, last year, the mutual recognition agreement with Taiwan was implemented, and with this mutual recognition agreement, again it can be exported under the NPOP regulations, and from Taiwan also under their regulation we can import organic products. So this also strengthens the organic trade relations between the two countries. Then negotiations with Australia is in an advanced stage. So we are expecting that if once this MRA is implemented with Australia, then it will also ease out exports to Australia. Now let's discuss a little bit about what the organic certification process. So as I said, it is a third-party certification system. The NPOP is a third-party certification system. Now how the organic certification process goes about? First of all, there has to be a standards. So we have the standards, that is the National Program for Organic Production, which has the national standards for organic production. We discussed in the previous slide. Then based on that standards, the operators needs to comply with those standards. So compliance by the operators. Let's just refresh that. Who is an operator? An operator is a producer, processor, or a trader. So if he is a producer, they have to follow the crop production standards. If he is a processor, then they have to follow the processing standards. Just like that, the trader, they have to follow the processes of trading and exports. Now these compliances are verified by the certification body. How do they verify it? They go for annual inspections, and annually they visit that site, on-site audit. And when they are satisfied that the operator is following the standards which has been prescribed, then they give them the certificate, the organic certificate. In case of crop production, there is a conversion period. So for the conversion period, whenever a new operator comes and gets themselves registered and certified, then they get a scope certificate for the first year conversion. And then in crop production, for the annual crops, those who are harvested annually, there is a conversion period of 2 years. But for the perennial crop, like the fruit trees, it's for 3 years. So this conversion period, every year when the certification body goes for inspection, then if they first year, they will of course get a first year conversion scope. Then before the scope expiry, the certification body, 3 months before the scope expiry, they will again go and visit the producer or the grower group, and they will check their compliance, and if they are meeting all the NPOP requirements, then they will be giving them the upgrading them to the second year. So the scope certificate that they will get in the next year will be the second year conversion. And then again at the end of the second year, again the certification body will go for an on-site inspection, and if the operator has followed all the requirements, the producer has followed all the requirements, then they will give them the organic scope certificate in the next year. This is for the annuals. For the perennials, it will be the third year conversion, and on the fourth year, they will get the organic scope certificate. But if the certification body sees that the farmer or somebody has used chemicals, then they can downgrade them, they can expel them, they may or may not certify them. So this is the process that is checked by the certification body. Similarly, the processing unit. Now, if a processing unit is processing organic product and also exporting, then they can directly export from their processing scope. But if they are not processing anything in their unit, then they need to take a trading scope. The main difference is that the trader does not physically handle the product. That is, open the product, repacks, or making it in another product. He simply buys a packed product and exports it, sells it, trades it in the domestic market for exports or for exports. So it is a trading operation. But if he is physically handling the product, then it is a processing activity. It may be repacking, it may be making a new product, a multi-ingredient product, or cleaning, sorting, grading, and then packing. All these activities are checked by the certification body during their on-site audits of the processing unit. So in the processing unit, of course, they have to maintain all the separations, organic processing. It's not necessary that the processing unit will be exclusive for organic. It can be can do both the operations, but they have to maintain a separation. Separation is very much important, so that there is no co-mingling between the organic products and the conventional products. Now, after being satisfied of these activities that the operators are following the standards, the certification body issues the scope certificate annually. And whenever there is a transaction that takes place, like the grower group has or the producer has a stock, a harvest, he wants to sell it, or a processor has made a product and he is further selling it, then a transaction certificate is issued. So that transaction certificate which is issued, it may not be for the entire quantity, it is transaction based. This is a very important certificate because this maintains the traceability of the organic product flow. It is very important for maintaining the integrity of the organic processes, because suppose a producer has 100 metric tons of an harvest and he will sell it to 10 people. So there will be 10 transaction certificates so that we can trace back that where has these 100 metric tons gone. So it can go to one processor, one trader who can directly export, and one processor may use some as an ingredient for the. If some complaint comes from the last point also, then the final export TC can be traced back to the producer level, and that is why this is very important certificate. Now, all these operations which I just described, it is also checked by the evaluation committee of the accreditation body. So this is also very important. The certification body is not that they are giving a certificate and that is the final one. Their operations are also checked by the evaluation committee whether they are following all the processes properly or not. So they are also, an annual audits are conducted, and just I explained about certification body and the evaluation committee, then they do annual audits. But apart from that, there are unannounced audits also, which is very important because sometimes when there is a these are risk-based audits. Sometimes some products are, we feel that they are risky products. There may be chances of contamination. There are many complaints that are coming. Based on this risk assessment, the certification body also conducts unannounced inspections of their operators, and the evaluation committee also conducts unannounced inspections of the operators of the certification body. So directly going to the operator's field and seeing their operations. If they are not complying, then what the certification body has checked. So this is also complied. So this is the general organic certification process. The scope of certification, which I was initially I was telling you that it's a process certification. So for different scopes, the certificates are given. So it's crop production. Crop production, of course, include collection from the areas, notified wild areas. Then we have processing and trading, handling operations. Handling is mainly repacking or any other physical activity that takes place in the processing unit. Then the trading. Then we have livestock, apiculture, aquaculture, animal feed processing, mushroom and seaweed and aquatic plants. Now let's talk about the major stakeholders. So Department of Commerce is the apex body for implementation of the NPOP, and APEDA, Agriculture and Processed Food Products Export Development Authority under Department of Commerce is the Secretariat for NPOP. Then we have the accredited certification bodies. As on date, there are 37 active accredited certification bodies, of which 14 are in the public sector. Besides that, we have Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, and under them there is an NCONF, that is a National Center for Organic and Natural Farming, and then MOVCD NER is a project for the promoting organic farming in the northeastern regions. So together, Ministry of Agriculture is promoting organic farming in the country. FSSAI is a domestic regulator. As I told you, that the NPOP is notified in the domestic market under the FSSAI regulations. Then we have state governments who are promoting organic farming under the various schemes. We have NCOL. NCOL is National Cooperative Organic Limited. This is the body which is promoting organic farming and marketing organic products in the domestic market. So this body will provide the market linkages to the farmers and the farmer groups, because they are interested in procuring from them and selling the products. So they also play a very important role in promoting organic. Then we have progressive farmers. The farmers, of course, are the backbone of the organic certification system, because they are producing that organic product which is later traded and then exported, and what is coming to the table of the consumers. So they are the most important and valuable stakeholder. Then we have the organic industry associations. The industry includes the exporters, the companies. They are also playing a role in organizing the farmers in grower groups. Another important role is the traceability. Traceability is very important in organic certification. APEDA had implemented the online software Tracenet in 2010, and since then all the organic certification activities, they take place through this Tracenet. So we address all the issues if any issues comes on Tracenet and the entire traceability system. Then review of the national standards and its amendments. So this is an important role, and as we started with the 8th edition, so it's a revised edition. So we'll talking more about this. So APEDA was the convener, and we convened the entire process of the NPOP revision. Then we also discussed about the mutual recognition agreement. This also APEDA takes up the negotiation with the trading partners, the equivalent bodies in the importing countries, to come to a mutually recognizing each other's standards, to come to a mutual agreement on some terms and conditions. And then we conduct a lot of capacity building and sensitization program of the stakeholders, so as to make them understand about the requirements under NPOP, because it is a regulation. So if there is a regulation, that the regulatory requirements needs to be complied with, but to make them understand the regulatory requirements, and also if they are facing any problem in implementing them or understanding them, then we do their capacity building. Then we also coordinate with the different line departments for the growth of the organic ecosystem in India, because there are many bodies who are promoting. So we also take them on board, so that to expand the NPOP and the organic ecosystem in the country. And finally, promote our organic logo, the India organic logo, the brand. I mentioned about our online traceability system, Tracenet. So Tracenet is a web-based online traceability system for certification and export of organic products. India is the first country to launch such a system for organic products, and all the certificates that are issued, I mentioned about 2 types of certificates: scope certificate, transaction certificate. They are issued from Tracenet, and they have system generated codes, and it also has a system generated QR codes which can be scanned, and therefore this gives a sort of quality assurance to the end buyers. They can verify the authenticity of the certificates that is issued. Now coming to the revision. As I said, that the 7th edition was notified in 2014, and it was in place for around almost 10 years. So there had been a long period of 10 years. So we had started the process of revision. It started in the end of 23, we have taken up this assignment, and during 2024 we revised the NPOP, and the reason was first of all, a long period has elapsed, and then there are many changes in the international organic scenario. And as I said, that we have a recognition agreement, recognition with the different global standards, so we have to also harmonize our standards with the changes in the international organic markets. And besides, we have also tried to ensure that the processes are simplified in terms of understanding. So we had bring in the language, we have made it more simpler and more clarity, so that there is the operators are able to understand it in a better way. And besides, for the first time, we are also coming up with the NPOP procedure manual, and this will also have to, one is the policy document, understanding the policy, and then there is a detailed procedure. And as I mentioned in the beginning, that it was formally launched on 9th January and notified on 5th of January, and it has a transition period of 6 months. The NPOP revision was carried out under 5 thematic areas. So what were these thematic areas? They were simplification and clarity, transparency, objectivity, strengthened oversight, and enhanced sanctions. So, and all these will be maintained through an upgraded IT interface. So the IT software, Tracenet, it is also being upgraded so that it will align with the revised NPOP. In simplification and clarity, first of all, we'll try to make it more work we have done in the certification of the grower groups. That chapter we have tried to make it more simpler in better understanding of the requirements of a grower group certification, because it requires certain layers we'll discuss. So this is, we have tried to clarify the requirements. Then we have made procedures for shifting of the farmers from one grower group to another. This also has been simplified, the shifting process. Then in objectivity, we have come up with model templates. so that there is a uniformity in the certification processes of the certification bodies. Transparency is something which is very important to have a robust system, and we have made the disclosure of the information by the CBs. Actually, there is a requirement for disclosure of certified operators by the CBs, but so far you can see that the grower group, because as I said that grower group is one entity, so they used to disclose the information about the grower group only. But now we have made it important that apart from the grower group, the farmers, because they comprise of the grower group, the details of the farmers will also come on the public domain. So that is a very important change that we brought in, because once all the information of the farmers, their details will be available on the certification body's website as well as the ICS of the grower group's office. So this will bring in transparency in the processes. Besides, we have made the inspections processes also transparent through mobile application, then the geotagging and other processes. In the transparency and strengthened oversight, there is a requirement for the ICS of the grower group to have an office at the location or the proximity of the grower group. Then there is also a provision for sharing of information of the operators with various government agencies. Actually, once the informations are there in the public domain, it will be accessible to all as well. And then in case the information is not properly displayed, we also have made provisions for penalties. In the strengthening of the oversight mechanism, we are using the IT tools. We are in the updated Tracenet system. We also have brought in the feature of e-sign authentication of farmers through mobile application, then verification of the farmers field by geotagging of farms through the mobile app, and the requirement of a third-party sampling, and samples will be drawn. This we have clarified. The samples will be drawn by a third party. The sampler will be a laboratory sampler or the CB inspector, because it sometimes, when in case of dispute, it has seen that the operator themselves take out the sample. So this doesn't work, because it should be a third party. The third party certification process, the sampling should also be through a third party. We have made the sanctions, we have revised the sanction catalogs, and we have enhanced the penalties. Now this has been done because we want the sanctions to be deterrents. We want that people who come into organic certification process, they follow it in true letter and spirit. And just because of that, we have enhanced the penalties, because people have a choice. They can follow the organic certification process, or they can continue with conventional practices. But getting certified in organic and not following it and doing conventional practices and just using the certificates, this compromises the organic integrity, and that is why we have made it the sanctions, enhance the penalties, so that this does not take place. We have also it has been observed that sometimes the grower groups, they are managed by external service provider, and they have been not managing it properly, and many complaints come in. So this time we have stipulated penalties for the service provider also, because once they are managing the groups, they have a responsibility of ensuring that all the farmers in the grower groups, they are following the requirement of organic certification. So if they are not, then their penalties have been stipulated for them as well. And we have introduced a provision of appeals, a second appeal for the operators, because sometimes we had received complaints from the operators that the certification body have sanctioned them, and then their appeal was not heard properly. So we have, if the first appeal with the certification body they are not satisfied with, they can file a second appeal with the subcommittee of the NAB. So this is also a provision that we have given. Then some other major changes that we have brought in is a provision for reduction in the conversion period, wherein organic practices have been followed for 3 years or more. So I'll explain a little more in the next coming slides. And another is the Unified India Organic logo as the organic certification mark. So what is the derogation to the conversion period? So as I was explaining, the conversion period, that it is 2 years for annuals and it is 3 years for the perennial crops. So but if there are some areas, some regions which are inherently organic, chemicals and pesticides have not been used, and no prohibited chemicals have been used in the places for more than 3 years, the chemicals which are substances which are prohibited under NPOP, if they have not used such prohibited substances, then we have provided provision for derogation. And this provision is classified in 2 ways. First of all, in NPOP 2014 also there was a provision for derogation, but it was only 12 months. Now up to 3 years they can get a reduction, but provided one, land under PGS for minimum 3 years. So why PGS? Participatory Guarantee System of Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, which is another notified standards for the domestic market, because the PGS standards are based on the NPOP standards. That is why if somebody can prove that they have been doing PGS and there has been no complaints, nothing, and then they can get a derogation. And secondly, the notified or the declared hilly regions of the Himalayan states and the northeastern regions, because in these places if the chemicals have not been used and there is a notification that they have not used any prohibited chemicals. So the applicant needs to meet one of the 2 conditions. A little more details of this is for the PGS, of course, I mentioned that no sanction history should be there. They have to submit a valid PGS certificate, and verification will get it done through NCONF, through whose software this certificate is issued. And for the land located in hilly areas, then the state notified areas that they have been natural, they have not used any prohibited chemicals for 3 years or more, and all these will be mapped with the geo coordinates. And then the certification body will do a physical inspection of those areas, will verify the location, the geo coordinates, check the records of the operator, the producer here, then conduct risk analysis and also take soil samples of that particular farmer's fields. So any of the fields of each farmer, if it's a group, then a sample has to be connected for those farmers who are seeking derogation, and then it will be tested, and then with the entire report, complete report for request for derogation, we will submit it to APEDA, we will place it before the NAB subcommittee for approval. So that is the process. Grower group certification process. Although I just gave you a brief on that, but let's just recap it a little bit, because what is a grower group? Grower group is basically organic producers can be individuals, individual producer or a group of farmers. Now individual producer will be inspected individually by the certification body and they will get a scope certificate for their production activity. But sometimes there may be cost is more, so small and marginal farmers may not be able to take the certificate. So in 2005 Government of India launched the group certification, where group of farmers can come together and they can organize themselves as a group, and jointly they can carry out the certification, follow the requirements and get the certificate jointly. So grower group are the organized group of farmers, producers who intend to produce organic products in accordance with the national standards for organic production. And what is the features of the grower groups? This is applicable for the producer groups, cooperatives, and even those who have, exporters come together, engage the grower groups together for a contract production. It has to have a definite legal entity. We'll describe in the next slide that the grower group should have a legal entity, and around 25 to 500 farmers is the range which comprises of the grower groups, and they should be in a geographical proximity of 50-kilometer radius. The radius is taken from the the address of the grower group, that is where the office is located, the address that comes in their scope certificate. This is an important change that has been brought out in the NPOP 8th edition, where we have put in that a 50-kilometer radius, because the group should be cohesive, together. So that is why we need that the group members should be located very close to each other. Then a grower group is operated through a internal control system, ICS. So what is an internal control system? It is an internal management unit of the grower group, because in grower group what happens is that the certification body does not come and individually inspect each and every farmer, because it's a group certification, otherwise that it won't be cost effective. So they have an internal control system which goes and inspects each and every farmer. So they have to do 100% inspections. The group, the internal control system therefore needs to have an ICS manager, and they have to have an internal inspectors. These two are most important, and then of course they have purchase managers, field officers who do capacity building of the farmers. So they manage the entire group. They have to conduct internal inspections twice in a year during the growing season of 100% farmers. So if there are 500 farmers, then the internal inspector will have to go and inspect those farmers, and there is a ratio of 50 to 60 farmers for one internal inspectors. So if it has got a 500 farmers, around 9 to 10 farmers inspectors they need to have. They go and inspect whether each and every farmer is following the requirements of the groups, the organic regulation, that is NPOP standards. So crop production standards, are they following it, whatever, not using any prohibited substances, maintaining the separation, that is the buffer zone, all these things. And then if there is any non-compliances, then they report, and then the farmer have to rectify those non-compliances, and then so it is more the certification process which is first carried out by the internal control system. And then after the internal control system inspections and everything is over, and then they forward this information of the 2 inspections and everything to the certification body. The certification body therefore comes and inspects the grower group's ICS office first. So the office has to be located in the location, the proximity of the address. So the address, suppose there is some grower group name and this location is given village, so they should have an office in that location. So this has been mandated in NPOP 8th edition, because sometimes it was seen that the internal control system, it is sometimes managed by a service provider. If the grower group members among themselves, they are not able to manage that internal control system, they can manage it themselves. They can select a few members and they can form the internal control system and manage it internally. If they are not able to do it, then they can do it through a service provider. Earlier a term mandator was used, but this has now been omitted in the 8th edition. So they are managed through a service provider. But earlier it was seen that the address was given of that of the service provider. So this does not serve the purpose, because we want the groups to be empowered. So we want that the address should be of the grower group itself. Then so the service provider is an external body which if the engaged by a grower group for a specified period of time. So they have a contract with them to managing their group. And that is why, as I said, that we have imposed penalties, because if they have a contract with the grower group, then they are bound to run that group as per the requirements of NPOP. So now this is one thing, and the mandator, as I said, that the service provider was called as a mandator in 2014. Now that term has been dropped. Legal entity of the grower groups, to ensure that the grower groups formed under NPOP have a sanctity. The legal entity requirements for a grower group has been laid down under NPOP 8th edition, and it has been specified, very clearly laid down. Earlier what used to happen is that the service provider used to run the ICS, so it can be a company, and they used to use their own legal entity. So here, to empower the grower groups, they need to have a legal entity which can be a society registered under the Societies Act 1860 or the relevant State Societies Act. It can be a farmer producer organization, FPO, or a farmer producer company, FPC, incorporated under the Companies Act, and it can be a cooperative society. Then sampling and residue testing of grower group members. Now in NPOP 14 also, in NPOP, because sampling and testing is not a mandatory requirement as such in organic, because organic is a process certification, it is not a product certification. But it was mandated that the certification body have to test 5% of their certified operators. So certified operators in different stages, maybe sometimes a standing crop, or sometimes some crop which is in the processing stage, or some packed products for shipment, just to analyze the risk if there is any compromise of organic has taken place, some commingling has taken place, or if the product is not organic as being claimed by the operator. So for that, sampling and residue testing farming was carried out. This time we have introduced another important requirement, and this is also in line with the EU regulation, that is additionally samples from minimum 2% farmers of each grower group, because grower group comprises of farmers from 25 to 500 and their physical inspection is carried out in by sampling. So certification body does not go and check each and every farmer. They said they come in annual inspection and they visit the ICS office. There they go and check the ICS whether they are following all the requirements of the group certification, and after that they check their inspection checklist and all the findings, and then based on sample and the risk and the sample is drawn, and then they check only sample farmers for re-inspection. Therefore, this has also been mandated that during that re-inspection they will be checking 2%, collecting samples from 2% of farmers, which will be maximum 10 farmers. So that this will be also one addition of the risk-based checks. Marketability of the organic produce of the grower group. It has also been seen that sometimes that the grower groups, the ICs of the grower groups which are responsible for managing the organic certification activities of the grower groups, they are not always procuring from the farmers. Now, under the group certification requirements, the farmers, they are getting certified jointly, therefore they have to market their produce jointly. Now, if the ICS is not procuring or giving them a market linkage, then the farmers, they are not able to sell their organic produce. This discourages them and they revert back to conventional farming. So, just to encourage them, we have now introduced that to ensure marketability of the entire organic produce, the ICS shall make all possible efforts to procure the entire organic produce of the farmers. And in case they are unable to procure, then they will arrange the market linkages for the unsold amount. Besides this, the public information of the grower groups, apart from the certification body's website, the ICS of the grower group also are required to disclose and update the list of the farmers that are covered under their group. Appeal by certification bodies operators, we have already if NAB, the National Accreditation Body, takes a decision, then a committee will be constituted under the NSC, which acts as the appellate body for hearing the appeals. And the second appeal earlier mentioned. Another complaint that we used to get from the operators is that there has been a lot of delays by the certification body in issuing the transaction certificates. So this time we have prescribed the timelines, stipulated the timelines that a transaction certificate from the grower group or producer to a trader or processor should be issued within 5 working days. Between a processor trader and a processor trader, it should be in 3 working days, and an export TC, which includes the provisional transaction certificate, within 7 working days of receipt of all the documents, complete set of documents. So this will help to get the timely transaction certificate for further trade. However, this will not be applicable in cases where there is a risk and which requires physical verification, or in case of incomplete documentation. Then the upgraded IT tools and the interface. We have integrated the API verification in the new Tracenet system, wherein the PAN details and the FSSA license will be verified through an API. Then there is a e-sign facility for verification of farmers. Then digital signatures has been introduced for issuance of all certificates. This will be help in make the issuance of certificates more easy, because you're not dependent on the physical certificates, physical signing copies. And then inspection through mobile app. This will help in real-time verification of the farmers and the farm details, geo-tagging of the farms and geofencing, and real-time image capture of the ICS office. Now we come to our organic certification mark, that is the India Organic logo. In the left side, if you can see, it was the present logo of the NPOP 2014. So that was a logo for exports, and for the domestic market there was a requirement to also affix the Jaivik Bharat logo. So 2 logos for the domestic market. And thereafter, now we have come up with a unified India organic logo has been developed to bring in more uniformity and convergence in the Indian regulations, both for the domestic and the export market. So Javik Bharat has been affixed to the India organic logo, and this has already been notified under the NPOP 8th edition, and it will be applicable very shortly after the transition period is over. However, for the domestic market also, FSSAI is amending their regulation, and as and when it happens, then it will be applicable for the domestic market as well. The way forward. Now, this is very important that we have already launched the 8th edition of NPOP, and we are conducting a series of sensitization programs because we want everybody to be, sensitized and understand the requirements, the new changes, and we are able to implement this 8th edition in true letter and spirit. Further strengthen the monitoring and surveillance mechanism, we have leveraged technology to strengthen the oversight mechanism. We are conducting series of capacity building and sensitization program and will continue to do so. Then we are developing training videos and manuals. So these videos will also help in understanding the requirements a little more in an easy way. And then our negotiations are also going on with the major trading partners. Our efforts are going on, so we'll make efforts to get in more and more mutual recognition agreements, and then promoting the India organic brand internationally. We have been participating in a lot of international trade fairs, trade delegation, trade events, conferences to promote the India organic products across the globe. Support of all the stakeholders, and together we can establish our NPOP 8th edition's footprints across the globe. Thank you very much.
Hope you have watched the video in full with all the changes where ma'am has explained in details all the relevant provisions. So now you all can ask the questions. Please raise your hand one by one. We'll send you a request to unmute and you can ask your questions. वो खोल लो participants, उसमें जिसने hand raise करा हुआ ना एक एक करके सबको request भेज दो. उनको भेजो, मनीष को डालो. मनीष जी, आपको अनम्यूट की रिक्वेस्ट भेज दी है, आपका हैंड रेज है. प्लीज अनम्यूट करके अपना क्वेश्चन आप रेज कर सकते हैं. मनीष जी, कोई क्वेरी है आपकी? शरद को खोलो. शरद जी, आपका हैंड रेज्ड है, आप कोई क्वेरी पूछना चाहते हैं?
हाँ मैडम जी, हमारा लास्ट डेज में स्कोप इश्यू होने वाला था, लेकिन लॉगिन का कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ गया, तो अकाउंट ब्लॉक दिखा रहा है. तो
शरद जी, आप किस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से बोल रहे हैं?
श्री श्री एग्रो फार्मर प्रोड्यूसर कंपनी, राजेवाड़ी.
एग्जिस्टिंग ट्रेसनेट में आ रहा है आपके इशू?
हाँ, ये लॉगिन नहीं हो रहा है मैडम जी, और लास्ट डे था ना कल.
आप
ये
क्वेरी में डाल दीजिए. देखिए, ट्रेसनेट इश्यूज मैंने पहले भी बताया था, आप लोगों के जो भी ट्रेसनेट इश्यूज हैं आप लोग या तो चैट बॉक्स में डाल दीजिए या हमारी हेल्प डेस्क पे टिकट रेस करिए, हम वहां से एड्रेस करेंगे. इस सेशन में अभी फिलहाल अगर आपके एनपीओपी में जो नए चेंजेस आए हैं उनको लेके आपके कोई सवाल हैं तो प्लीज रेज दोस क्वेश्चंस. वो सवाल आप पूछिए एनपीओपी रिवीजन को लेके. ट्रेसनेट टीम के लिए जो भी सवाल हैं अगर एग्जिस्टिंग सिस्टम में है तो आप वहां पे टिकट रेस करिए, और नहीं तो हमें मेल भी आप भेज सकते हैं. तो
अच्छा
ट्रेसनेट का आप उसमें पूछिए, अगर आपको एनपीओपी रिवीजन से लेके कोई सवाल है तो प्लीज वो रेज करिए।
ओके, सीबीएसई के संपर्क में रहेंगे मैडम।
जी जी, सीबी से संपर्क कर लीजिए। संजीवनी से मैसेज आया, व्हाट अबाउट आईसीएस नेम चेंज। जैसे कि हम आपको पहले भी समझा चुके हैं कि जिनकी रिक्वेस्ट अभी गौरव जी ने आपको बहुत डिटेल में बताया था कि ये सीबी को वन टाइम नए सिस्टम में भी मिलेगा, और जो एग्जिस्टिंग में रिक्वेस्ट आई हुई है उनको हम कर रहे हैं। और बाकी अभी ट्रेसनेट टीम ने नेम चेंज पे आपको काफी डिटेल में बताया था।
हेलो।
जी,
हाँ मैम, फीड प्रोसेस क्या होगा मैम? प्रोसीजर वही टेस्ट में रहेगा तो मैनुअल में रहेगा फीड प्रोसेसिंग?
जैसे अभी है वैसे ही रहेगा। जब उसमें कुछ चेंज आएगा तो आप लोग को इन्फॉर्म कर दिया जाएगा।
उसके लिए कोई सीबीस तो नोटिफिकेशन दिया मैम? सीबीस बोल
अभी
रहे हैं
कुछ
हमको।
नहीं है, जैसे एग्जिस्टिंग सिस्टम में फीड सर्टिफिकेशन चल रहा था अभी वैसे ही है। जब न्यू सिस्टम में अगर माइग्रेट होगा या कोई चेंज आएगा तो हम आपको बता देंगे।
ओके, थैंक यू।
बोलो। अ, गुरु जी है, आप अनम्यूट करके अगर कोई सवाल है तो रेज कर सकते हैं।
पुराना ट्रेसमेंट से हमने रिन्यूअल प्रोसेस चालू कर दिया है।
जी
और अभी मेरा एक्सपायर डेट है जुलाई 25 को।
जी।
क्या मैडम अभी पुराने से अपना चलेगा कि ऊपर अपना क्या माइग्रेट होगा, क्या कैसा समझ में आएगा मैडम?
जब आपका माइग्रेट होगा, अभी सिर्फ IC1 स्टेटस वाले माइग्रेट हुए
आवाज नहीं आ
हैं,
रही।
और है ना, और जब पुराने माइग्रेट होंगे तो वो आपको इन्फॉर्म कर दिया जाएगा सीबीस के माध्यम से।
अच्छा, अभी अभी मेरा पुराना चल रहा है तो उसका मतलब है पुराना ही है।
हाँ, अभी वही चलेगा आपका, जब जब माइग्रेशन से पहले आपको बताया जाएगा।
हाँ मैडम, और 3 महीने का ग्रेस पीरियड अभी भी है ना?
एग्जिस्टिंग सिस्टम में है, नए सिस्टम में नहीं रहेगा ग्रेस पीरियड।
हाँ जी। ओके मैडम, थैंक यू। ओके मैडम, थैंक यू।
दाव भरूच जी, आपका कोई सवाल है? अमरीश अमरीश जी, आपका हैंड रेस्ड है, आपका कोई सवाल है?
ये पहले से हैंड रेटिंग।
अच्छा, ग्लेज का हैंड रेस्ड है। ग्लेज सीबी, आपका कोई सवाल है?
यदि बोल रहा था, मेरा प्रश्न ये है कि यदि एक ऑपरेटर के पास इंडिविजुअल ऑपरेटर के पास कुछ आईसी मतलब ये बहुत सारे फार्म है, तो फिर वो पैन कार्ड का कैसे करेगा? मतलब उसका पैन कार्ड तो एक ही है एक व्यक्ति के पास, और फार्म ज्यादा है तो कैसे रजिस्ट्रेशन करेगा वो?
फार्म इंडिविजुअल, ठीक है, मैं आपका क्वेश्चन रेज नोट कर लिया है मैंने। मैं टीम को से डिस्कस करके हम अगली मीटिंग में आपको इसका बताने के लिए
हाँ मैडम, ये
बताएंगे।
बड़ा जेन्युइन केस है। इस तरीके का प्रैक्टिकल सिचुएशन अभी मेरे सामने आई है कि उसके और मेरे खुद के, मैं यदि मेरी बात करूं तो मेरे पास ही 4-5 खेत हैं और पैन कार्ड तो मेरा एक ही है। अब यदि मैं ऑर्गेनिक में जाना चाहूँ तो कैसे जाऊंगा? तो इसके
ठीक
ऊपर
है,
आप
हमने
बताएं,
नोट
है ना?
कर लिया आपका क्वेरी। अपनी टीम तक हम इसको रिजॉल्व कराने की कोशिश करेंगे।
ओके, थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू।
हिमांशु गुप्ता जी, आपका कोई सवाल है?
कंपलसरी है क्या ऐड ऑन करना?
आपकी आवाज ब्रेक हो गई। अपना हिमांशु जी, अपना क्वेश्चन रिपीट करिए।
मैं ये पूछ रहा था कि आईसीएस लेवल पे वेयर हाउस कंपलसरी है क्या?
ICS लेवल पे मुझे तो नहीं लगता है वेयर हाउस कंपलसरी है, अगर होता है तो उसकी डिटेल्स होनी चाहिए और वो स्कोप में प्रॉपरली सीबी के द्वारा इंस्पेक्टेड होना चाहिए और स्कोप में मेंशन्ड होना चाहिए।
ओके। एंड मैम सेकंड क्वेश्चन ये था कि लाइक इलेक्ट्रिक बिल जो होता है ना, लाइक हमने कोई नया एसेट रजिस्टर्ड किया और उस पे हमने रेंट पे कोई ऑफिस ले लिया, तो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल में तो ऑनर का नाम आता है ना कि आईसीएस का नाम, तो फिर उस चीज को कैसे वेरीफाई करेंगे?
ICS के नाम पे रेंट लेना पड़ेगा ना आपको, रेंट एग्रीमेंट होगा
नहीं
या
नहीं,
कुछ।
रेंट एग्रीमेंट तो मैम होगा, लेकिन बट इलेक्ट्रिक बिल अटैच करने के लिए आपने डाला उसमें ऑप्शन।
वन ऑफ द ऑप्शन है,
यस मैम।
कंपलसरी थोड़ी है वो डालना, और भी तो ऑप्शंस हैं, वो डाल सकते हो।
ओके ओके।
इनको फलादा को अनम्यूट करना, सर्च कर लो फलादा वाले मैसेज करो। PH PH F हटाओ, PH। जी फलादा एग्रो रिसर्च से बोलिए।
मैम गुड इवनिंग, मैं अनिल बात कर रहा हूँ फलादा एग्रो से। जी मैम, हमारा एक प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट था न्यू रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए, वहाँ पे आई कोड कंपलसरी मांग रहा है, लेकिन जो हमारा यूनिट है वो सिर्फ डोमेस्टिक के लिए है।
अनिल जी, ये हमारे पास सवाल आ चुका है, हमने अपनी टेक्निकल टीम को रिजॉल्व करने के लिए भी दिया है। ये आपका जेन्युइन क्वेरी है, क्योंकि जरूरी नहीं है हर प्रोसेसर और ट्रेडर एक्सपोर्ट करे, डोमेस्टिक मार्केट में भी हो, तो हमने अपनी टीम को कम्युनिकेट कर दिया है इस इशू को रिजॉल्व करने के लिए।
और एक क्वेश्चन था मैम कि अगर दो आईसीएस 50 किलोमीटर की प्रॉक्सिमिटी में आया तो सेम आईसीएस ऑफिस हम यूज कर सकते हैं क्या दोनों आईसीएस के लिए?
जी सेम आईसीएस ऑफिस, सेम आईसीएस मैनेजर आप यूज कर सकते हैं।
ओके ओके मैम, थैंक यू।
ठीक है, अभी सिस्टम शायद आपको अलाउ नहीं करेगा सेम आईसीएस मैनेजर रजिस्टर करने के लिए, बट एनपीओपी में अलाउड है, और हमने अपनी टेक्निकल टीम को बोला है इस पे वर्क करने के लिए कि अलाउ करें इस तरह का प्रोविजन आगे।
ओके मैम, थैंक यू थैंक यू।
ऊपर दिखाओ, ऊपर से किसके हैंड रेज्ड है, इनको खोलो, संबित ओसोका से। ओसोका से संबित, बताइए आपकी क्या क्वेरी है। और इनको
हेलो
खोलो आगे। जी
मैडम, आपसे कल भी बात हुई थी, मैंने आपको मेल कर दिया था। उसमें एक क्वेरी और थी कि 50 किलोमीटर रेडियस में मैं अगर मल्टीपल आईसीएस आ रहे हैं तो कॉमन आईसीएस मैनेजर रख सकता हूँ क्या?
कॉमन आईसीएस मैनेजर एनपीओपी में आप पढ़ेंगे तो अलाउड है, बट अभी जो हमारा सिस्टम डेवलप हुआ है उसमें अलाउड नहीं हो रहा है, आप नहीं कर पाएंगे मल्टीपल आईसीएस। एक आईसीएस मैनेजर अगर एक आईसीएस के लिए आपने रजिस्टर कर लिया है सिस्टम में, तो उस आईसीएस मैनेजर को आप दूसरे में अभी सिस्टम में ऐड नहीं कर पाएंगे। तो गोइंग फॉरवर्ड हमने अपनी टीम को बोला हुआ है, वी आर वर्किंग ऑन इट, तो ये विल अलाउ इट इन फ्यूचर ऑन ट्रेसनेट।
तो ये अलाउ हो है मतलब, बट वो
हाँ,
टेक्निकली।
में अलाउ है, बट टेक्निकली अभी ट्रेसनेट में आप नहीं कर पाएंगे।
ओके मैम, मैंने आपको मेल भी किया है मैडम, और 2 क्वेश्चन थे वेयर हाउस से रिलेटेड, आप देख लीजिएगा एक बार।
तो हम जवाब दे देंगे 1-2 दिन में आपको। ठीक है, ये वैष्णवी शर्मा, आपका कोई क्वेरी है? इनको रिक्वेस्ट भेजो, वैष्णवी देखो यही दिख रही है। ये नहीं, सेकंड नंबर राइट में, राइट। हाँ वैष्णवी जी, यू कैन अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ एंड स्पीक प्लीज।
Good evening, ma'am. This is Vaishnavi Sharma from MS Agroland Services Private Limited.
जी वैष्णवी जी, गुड इवनिंग, बताइए।
मैम, मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन तो यही है कि हम लोग को जो एडहॉक इंस्पेक्टर्स यूज करने हैं, कैन दे बी ट्रेनी ऑडिटर्स, और या फिर उसके लिए पर्टिकुलर क्वालिफिकेशन एंड कॉम्पिटेंस लेवल चाहिए कि 2 years?
किसके लिए? इंटरनल इंस्पेक्टर्स के लिए?
मैम एडहॉक इंस्पेक्टर्स जो फार्मर वेरिफिकेशन के लिए एडहॉक इंस्पेक्टर्स की रिकमेंडेशन लास्ट ट्रेनिंग के टाइम पे बोला गया था।
एडहॉक इंस्पेक्टर्स की वही क्वालिफिकेशन होनी चाहिए जो आपके रेगुलर इंस्पेक्टर्स की होती है। दे मस्ट बी कॉम्पिटेंट। सिर्फ क्योंकि वन टाइम वेरिफिकेशन का टास्क है इसलिए हमने अलाउ करा है कि आप कंपनी पे फाइनेंशियल बर्डन ना आए, आप इनिशियली सिर्फ एडहॉक रख सकते हैं, बट उनकी एजुकेशन क्वालिफिकेशन और कॉम्पिटेंस शुड बी एट पार विद योर इंस्पेक्टर्स।
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, second question was, can the ICS inspectors, particular ICS inspector बाकी सर्विस प्रोवाइडर के OGG के अंदर काम कर सकते हैं?
उसी सर्विस प्रोवाइडर के OGGs जो कि ग्रोवर ग्रुप्स जो कि 50 किलोमीटर रेडियस के अंदर हों, बट एज आई सेड अभी सिस्टम में टेक्निकली दिस इज नॉट अलाउड, इसके लिए प्रोविजन दे आर वर्किंग ऑन इट।
Ma'am, ICS inspectors, not the manager.
I understood, I said ICS inspectors only.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Save the nature, you want to say anything? मैंने खोला था तब बोलूं। Save the nature, do you want to say anything? वेयर हाउस को लेके काफी क्वेरी आती है, मैं टेक्निकल टीम से एक बार इस पे क्लैरिफिकेशन लेके विल गेट बैक टू यू ऑन दिस। आदिति को आदिति ऑर्गेनिक सर्टिफिकेशन, डू यू हैव एनी क्वेरी? Aditi, you can unmute yourself and speak if you have any questions. Aditi organic certification?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay then, so thank you all for joining this meeting, and you can send your queries through emails and through help desk queries also. And those who have written messages, there are a lot of questions regarding warehouse. We'll get back to you on that. We'll discuss it with our technical team, what are the requirements and how can we do it. So we'll get back to you shortly on this. And the list of migrated operators ka hai, all CBs will be able to we have noted it. Other CBs will also be able to see it in a short time. We are working on it. Okay. Thank you so much.
यार ये काम ही नहीं करता। Very, very
Regarding other Tracenet issues once we have other developments for you. Thank you so much for joining.